All right. Thanks, guys. Great to be here. All right, we're in the afternoon. I see people are drinking, so we're going to try and bring it up a little bit. I'm Dave. I'm the CMO of Audigent. For those of you guys who don't know, we're a next-generation DMP. We work with premium publishers like Penske and Condé Nast to take their first-party data and help them monetize it, and then we take all that data and we bring it into the programmatic ecosystem for better targeting. So fixing a lot of stuff there. And today, I'm very excited about this fireside chat with Lauren Thermos because we are going to talk about what the truth is and where the lies are in marketing and break down a lot of the trends that you're probably hearing way too much of in the last 48 to 72 hours, depending on when you flew in. So Lauren is both the Senior Director of Marketing at e.l.f. Cosmetics, and she has her own content company and blog called Cut the Crap, which is all about breaking into and sharing the truth about what's happening in marketing. So thrilled you could be here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. So we thought we'd start out the day with a little bit of a game, going through what some of the biggest trends are, and the game is called Bullshit or Brilliant. So this is your game, so how do we play, Lauren?
Okay, it's Sunday, guys, seriously, so we should be a bit more lighthearted. So essentially, out of inspiration from Khan, this lovely line that I drew myself, and there's a poop emoji. Dave's going to read some statements, and I'm going to say whether they're bullshit or brilliant based on my point of view. And you guys should shout out as well, because I feel like half of these things have been like sprinkled around South by Southwest for the majority of the week. And so you just got to shout it out, and we won't put anyone on the spot unless you want to be put on the spot. But otherwise, yeah, that's the essence of it. Calling bullshit or brilliant on some of the trends and things we've observed.
Okay, so all right, get ready to shout. First one, the metaverse.
I think it's brilliant. Do you want me to... Come on, guys. What about you? Anyone else?
Guys, bullshit or brilliant?
Brilliant.
Excellent. Do I need to make myself louder?
Do you? Okay.
Cool.
Brilliant. Everyone seems to agree there.
Okay.
But what are people not getting about the metaverse?
That it's the internet. I really am so shocked that everyone differentiates the metaverse as like something else that we've just learned about all of a sudden. I don't know where it came from, but the hype cycle is definitely real. And do you know what you guys should do? Use Google Trends and search Clubhouse app and the metaverse. And the Clubhouse app has more search interest than the metaverse. So it's bizarre to me how this has come about.
All right, so the metaverse is the internet. Okay, well, we do like that. The Doodles activation here at South by.
Does anyone know what the Doodles activation is? Okay, I think it's brilliant, and I think it's a really, really amazing, showcase of, digital access. Like it's an NFT.
Well, explain to what it is, because there's a huge number of people watching from home.
Gosh, I hope, hi, home people. So essentially, the activation is like a doodle world. I think they've created an NFT project where it's only like cartoon scribbles. You would look at it and think it's very juvenile. What does it actually get me? But how they've structured it and created it like a kind of the value prop to their holders is that they're getting access to the doodle community. They're part of something. And the doodle activation, if you have a doodle, you get to skip the line. If anyone wants to give me their doodle in their MetaMask, you can just transfer it to me. I will get in. I won't give it back. But essentially, if you go in, you'll see how they're activating the world, how they want you to feel about it, how you want to remember it, from the music to like the activation and the technology. I don't want to give too much away, but if you haven't been, you should go, because I was there with my chief digital officer as well, and we were like, we can create this world for e.l.f. too. Like, there is no reason to like not go to one of these tech immersion sessions and not take it away for your brands.
All right. So everybody here, if you can break away from Brand Innovators for 15 minutes, go to see the Doodles.
Go to the Doodles.
And find a way to cut the line. All right. There's the difference between, is there a difference between social influencers versus calling them creators? Is that creators bullshit or brilliant?
I think I need more clarification on how you differentiate the difference.
Well, social influencers, it's just how brands are using the term. So brands call everyone social influencers, but the talent themselves call themselves creators. Do we need to separate it?
I think creators are brilliant. I think gone are the days of like the kind of Instagram sponsored post. So I think reframing how you see the people that you work with as creators, I think is brilliant. I think social influencers and just kind of feels very transactional and bullshit.
All right, death to social influencers, they're creators. NFTs.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. All right, anybody here pro, against NFTs?
Oh, not sure.
I saw a hand. Yes or no? Up. All right, anybody down with NFTs?
Who has one? Very good.
Okay. People know there was art before NFTs. Do they know that? We don't know.
I think so.
All right, the cookieless future. Say it.
There is. Utility is everything. But it's like your loyalty program 101. What does the consumer want?
The cookieless future.
What do I think? I do think we're obsessed.
And no vacillating, and no gray ground either. It's bullshit or it's brilliant.
I think it's like cookieless future is going to happen. I think that's brilliant. So I think it's brilliant that it's going away. I think it just shows the importance of your own data and how to be smarter with it. So I'm not sure if that's the right way to answer this specific statement. But I don't think. Oh, it's brilliant that we don't have them.
It's happening.
It is happening.
Is
Absolutely.
it a Y2K? You think it's a Y2K? A lot of talk about nothing, or is everybody wake up and take it seriously?
We've all known this for years. It's a very slow death. It's like when people said you're going to need an e-com shop. Everyone's like, no.
All right, slow death. Cookieless future.
Own your data.
Generational. Spotify Wrapped.
Oh, yeah, I think that is brilliant, and I forced him to put that in there because I think when you think of data, and even whether it's upper funnel, lower funnel, regardless, like they are one of the best brands and campaigns, and like in how they use their data and what they do with their data to drive brand storytelling, platform engagement, and retention. So they've got it done really well.
All right. Last one, and we're going to go into regular round.
You took my Gary V one out. He got scared.
Gary V.
No,
bullshit or brilliant?
Well, I'd say he's bullshit, but brilliant because of what he's doing with V Friends. And he is on the pulse of a lot of trends. But anyway, it's out of context.
Both? You pulled the question back in, and you said both.
I think the ability to have critically think is good.
Okay, generational targeting. Gen X versus Gen Z.
I think that is bullshit. I think lumping people up into like one kind of variable makes no sense. Within a generation, you have so many different types of communities and people that are not just shopping your one product. I try to remind us even internally that the person that's buying e.l.f. is also going to maybe Whole Foods or Target. They might be buying a car. They might be a parent. They're not just a Gen Z kid. So it's important to differentiate.
Okay, so we're going to get a little deeper into that.
Okay.
Going off of the Gen Z and Gen X segments, how do you at e.l.f. build those segments that go way beyond millennials? I think you have something in Cut the Crap where you talk about millennials as well.
Look, it's honestly, it has to start. It starts from our own data, and it's a mix of sources. I'd say we have one of the best e-commerce foundations in the industry and in the beauty industry. We have over 3 million records, so that already allows us to understand from the first baseline level who's the person that's actually shopping us versus the person we hope it is, and then be able to really segment and understand and break that out. And it's really an iterative process from who we think it is to creating lookalikes of that person, and then using our platform partners and data partners to replicate this person. Because, frankly, in the media part of what I do and our integrated marketing team, to grow the base, we need to reach more people that are qualified, and so that means modeling that out. We can't just keep talking to ourselves. We have to use these vehicles to be really smart on prospecting, and so we really start with us and then go out from there.
So let me ask maybe a creative question, or maybe it's a data question.
Yep.
As you're building these bespoke statements, taking all these cues from your consumers,
yep.
Are you naming them? Do your segments get names? Do they get numbers? How many segments? Is it 10,000 segments? Is it 500? Is it 50? How do you guys actually go about humanizing the segments?
Yeah, it's definitely a balance, because I think you can have too much data, too much segmenting, and you're buying data layers just for the sake of it, thinking just because they say they like green paint that they're more likely to buy your green paint then. So we really try not to have too many segments, but to anchor you guys, we break up our life, obviously our loyalist who spends the most, and how are they spending. So we have that segment as an extreme. Then we have a light shopper, understanding the dynamics of when they're in our site, and even within that we might separate depending on the season and what it is that we are pushing forward, whether they're more of a gifter, parent. There are little cues that we do take, but I really do believe in not over segmenting. You really want to try these kind of within your segmentation, some broader groupings, because you get to this point where they're so small that what are you truly learning? You're just assuming that they're going to want something more because of this one variable. So I think it's important to kind of test and learn within these kind of groups that we have. So I'd say at the moment we try not to put too many in at once. We might be doing 10 to 15 in different ways at one time, from a prospecting, mid-funnel, lower funnel, and then we'll iterate. that's how we kind of keep learning and making sure we're reaching and understanding these people.
Well, I will say from my history, naming the segments is a very important exercise.
It is important.
So do you guys have fun names? Because when I worked with...
They're very practical at the moment.
when I worked with the movie studio Lionsgate, we defined as part of the pitch claustrophobic cruelty as a separate segment of horror movie goers.
Sounds really existential.
And it just so much, it helped everybody instantly understand who we were going for, which led to all kinds of creatively inspired media decisions.
I'm going to take that as something back. At the moment, they're very functional. They say
what they
are.
Oh.
What is this person? So
no, you need alliteration in your segment names.
I'll get back to you.
All right, so how do you and how does e.l.f. manage the push-pull of brand marketing tactics versus the lower funnel? Because there's probably more choices of what to do now, so you as the marketer have to do both, right? You got to get people to fall in love, and you've got to get people to buy.
Honestly, it's a balance, and I think the ongoing education and the beauty of e.l.f. is that we want to get that Venn diagram right, because you need to always be consistently talking about your brand, ensuring that it's salient, and defining from upper to lower funnel is something that people kind of understand, which is great, but we try to talk about it as like a real connective system. And so when we're planning kind of that upper funnel, inverted commas, we're talking about those cultural pulses, how are we kind of using culture, PR, finding those moments to tell our story that will then inevitably trickle down to that lower funnel, conversion and retargeting and that ecosystem. So we really see it as holistic. Like I hate that there's a performance marketing and a brand marketer sometimes. Like I really do. I think you're a marketer and you need to understand how they get to each part of that journey. And yes, you can specialize in the tech in the lower funnel, but if you don't know fundamentally how the top is going to get you, like what you're doing there as a brand, then you're going to disconnect. And that's, I think, the thing I see most in brands and all the companies I've worked at in clients is this split between upper versus bottom, that really you need both of you to create that synergy.
All right, so when you start connecting the upper to the lower, you've seen of a data-enriched program for a brand.
I think it's the Seamless New York. Has anyone seen that on the subway or like been targeted? They essentially mine their own data. They're they're sitting on so much, where they took for each borough, the top food that was ordered over a period of time, and then they call it out. So for the Bronx, it was chicken tenders. And if you're on the Bronx train, like, hey Bronx, this is what you're doing, and this is your top 3 foods. Here's a code to go order more. So it's really, that was out of home, and then they did that in-app and in-app targeting. So it's that whole ecosystem was a flywheel, and people are interested. It stood out.
Okay, so let's go deeper into data, because that's the interesting part. So we'll get back into cookies. So we talked about cookies going away. We said brilliant and real. How important is that to e.l.f.?
Well, we've been on our digital transformation journey since 2013, 2014. So this kind of creating the foundation, like a solid foundation for our own first-party data and our own loyalty program has been so important, because we knew this was always coming. We have an amazing chief digital officer, Ekta, who's brilliant. And so this kind of slow death I mentioned is a slow death. We've all known it. We've all talked about it. So how do you actually connect your pipes and put your money where your mouth is and use your CapEx budget and set it up properly, especially for loyalty? I was saying actually yesterday, I might have even said in the talk, I honestly would have said loyalty programs are bullshit and marketing for loyalty a couple of years back, but I really have changed my mind on that, because I think that cookieless future is coming and it's here. And then you want to give value to your consumer, and you want to get deeper with that data and then connect it with other things.
So one of the things that we talked about in the prep that was very fiery, that I'm just going to relive here, because I think we're more in the middle. You took it back, but I'm bringing it back here, was that it was bullshit. Because you guys have the data, but there are a lot of brands that aren't collecting the data. Claire, we talked about this yesterday, right? That's our plan for I don't collect data, and so what should they be doing? It's a total catastrophe if you're not collecting data. It's okay for you guys because you've been thinking that way and you actually have a strong database and you're committed to it, so that makes the transition much easier. But it also is a lot of work to get consumers to trust you enough to lean in to get the data. So how are you guys doing, what have been the strategies, or how are you guys getting consumers to actually connect in with e.l.f. So you have that and you're ready for the transition?
I guess it goes back to like everything we've been doing has been about our consumer and how they transact, the behaviors they have, where they want to shop. So we've really been creating our pipes to be agnostic to them. So whilst selfishly we're like, we want you to come shop at us, everything we map and do has been about them. Like, so we reward them for shopping on Ulta. We reward them for shopping on Target. So that's in the infrastructure of our loyalty that we are continuing to iterate on. But in terms of finding partners, like you do need to get smarter, and we don't know everything. So finding partners like yourselves, like where you can help understand where your gaps are, because sometimes you can't see the you can't do your own diagnostic. Like you can kind of see it, but you need someone to help you see where those connective, whether you're not connecting in certain areas of the ecosystem. We were even talking about email and clicks, like just going back to your website and capturing that one email is a tiny step towards, giving your consumer that's read to the bottom of that email some extra, like they like what you're doing, so give them something to sign up for.
And we didn't talk about this before, but email is near and dear to my heart as a B2B marketer. Is there data? How does the brand marketing team and email marketing, is that all under the same group? And how do you guys connect anything that comes from one to the other or feed themes through?
So we have I think you need a Switzerland, because everyone has their own agenda, performance people, brand people. So it's always been my job to find Switzerland, and that's the insights and analytics team. So they are the ones that are going to give you the data, especially our insights team who, give you suggestions of how to read it. And then honestly, I actually play a bridge between the two of them, because everyone has their own incentives, which is fair enough. And then how to kind of interpret that from a targeting standpoint. How does it inform our creative? How does it form our flighting? So, we kind of work as a team in one ecosystem, but our insights and analytics team, whilst obviously in marketing in the business, they do stand as Switzerland on the side for us. So we always make sure, we have them as our mediators as well, even sometimes. We're like, Jess, we need you.
All right, so you talk a lot about the importance of a big brand story. What makes for a big brand story? How should people be thinking so they don't get caught up in tactics before they've come up with an actual idea? And what are your tricks to getting there?
It's
top 500 tricks.
Gosh, it's like you've got to start with. I even think about how excited the teams get on new products or new kind of points of view they might have for the brand, or what they want to talk about, like a certain narrative about e.l.f. But it all goes back to like, what's our hierarchy of storytelling? Like that is where you've got to start. I always literally map with the brand team. Sometimes I'm like, I don't care about Instagram or TikTok. What story do we want to tell that ladders back into the communication that we're for everyone? That this is a value product. That this is good for you. Like these buckets and these content structure is so important, because it allows you to make quick decisions on, what should we, when we do something new, what are the things we need to hit on? And it's like, okay, we always need to talk about value. We always need to talk about quality. How are we going to talk about it? We're going to use then the context of why did we make this product? Who was it for? And that will then change that narrative. But I always start with honestly, a whiteboard with the team and going back to the buckets. Like what are the things about the brand we want people to know? And then how are we going to tell the story? Then we use the data from our learnings, like where is that? Like where's the best person to reach them? How did we reach them in the past? And we never paralyze ourselves on, just one brand lift said this type of creative didn't work. We never do that. Like, it's iterative, it's a point in time, and it's always making sure that if it's good content, it's good content, people will watch it. But then sometimes they might want to be served something shorter. So we're always making sure we're creating that circle of all the content needs and then testing again, and we keep going.
Getting a little more specific on that, is there an L? Because I knew a lot about the brand because of the multi-billion view campaigns on TikTok. So there's a lot of very high-profile pieces. Is there a program from e.l.f. that you've either worked on or haven't worked on that you think just stands out as a great brand story?
Yeah, I think that actually one that we haven't spoken about a lot, because I guess it'll come probably in the next earnings, is the way we approached value for last year. So we are we're a cheap product. It's really easy to go, okay, $4, that's shit. But we really wanted to make sure that, how we make our products, they're often, replicas of a really great high-end product. And we actually use data from TikTok and our own brand tracking that mums really were interested in certain products. They were reviewing them on TikTok. We found all these reviews of how excited they were at the value. And so using that insight from TikTok, we actually created a whole slew of assets, TikTok specifically, that really talked to certain features of our camo powder in the frame that these influencers were, these mum bloggers that were just doing it themselves. And then we used targeting to really prospect out who this person was that was creating it, how we use the data and find the person that looked like them and overlay our own first-party data. And honestly, it went bananas. I've never seen anything like this. From it was a prospecting campaign for just awareness awareness, and the conversion and the click-through, all of that secondary was the highest ROAS we've seen, the highest view-through rates we've seen, and it really just kind of reinforced the finding those insights and then matching back the creative and the targeting. You can't have one or the other. Really drove success, and I think we all know this is quite logical, but you have to do it, and actually put your money where your mouth is, and it can pay off. Yeah.
So, I think the relationship between the data and targeting and creative is like a question that people are re-asking now, that creative is coming back to the top. So how are you thinking about the specific hard lifters like programmatic versus the branding, and what's the discussion inside the company as you're thinking about what tactics will be included in a campaign? Because that's something everyone is trying to figure out, and you have more optionality with who you work with and what you can experiment with. So what's the fight inside for like people's passion projects, whether they're like the data people or the creative people?
I think I'm really lucky because I think we're all equally have an understanding that we need multiple layers and multiple channels to drive, if you think of awareness, you need to build incrementality through multiple channels. Like, that's just what you have to do. And I think as we, in each of our campaigns, programmatic is really important to us, and it plays across the whole funnel. We've been educating internally that there's no...
Go on.
It's true. There's no e-com budget that's bottom, and there's no brand top. We need both, and they serve different roles throughout the journey. So when we launch something, we're using programmatic for high impact awareness, and then we bring them down. We have a really robust retargeting strategy that comes from the awareness pieces that we run and from our website, and then we have conversion and loyalty. So we really see programmatic and display digital advertising it's part of our. It is always there. It's always part of it, and we're always testing different partners, working with different DSPs, but there's never a question, and no one's ever challenging it. It's let's just keep learning and including it in our ecosystem because it's effective.
How are you connecting the creative learning that you're getting about what's working for which segments, which we'll name later, to the programmatic side where it sort of feels like you're pushing it off for the tonnage piece?
Yeah, it's there's obviously we still have work to do. I don't think anyone's got that perfect in terms of the marrying of real-time insight and dynamic creative and changing. So I'd say we still infant in the dynamic part of the creative and programmatic layers, because I really we were talking about, the signals aren't in real time, so it's not we're learning as we're going. We've got to look back at something and try to work out what variables may have actually impacted what we're doing. So I think the creative is still, I think it's an art and a science. You want memorable things that stand out, and then we just try to control for one variable at a time. Is it copy? Is it the call to action? Is it the order in which we're doing something from an influencer or brand, product or moment? But I think we're just on that kind of journey of mapping and learning still. Can you help me?
Of course. I'm wondering if during campaigns, if they're running and you are getting your information once the campaign runs, you're saying, okay, we had all these insights, we had all this smart segmentation, we had these great top of funnel ideas, we used those to continue the creative process, and then we drove that through the reach mediums. Are there learnings after the campaign, or is it as soon as it launches, it's all hands on deck, and you're coming together and saying, oh my God, this thing happened, and we had no idea that this piece of creative was going to take off, and now that changes everything. Everybody get ready, and let's get on the phones with our partners.
That's so funny. So yeah, actually, we do have check-ins. I'm actually the one that's no more daily sales reports, no more weekly. You're going to sit tight, and we're going to let things run.
Right.
And it makes me feel very nervous to be at least a minimum of 2 weeks, and then we'll regroup. Right. And then we do look at, obviously those pieces, and especially if something's doing really, really well. We try not to actually stop anything either, because I think it's a consistent, it will go to the bottom regardless if it's not performing. But we do, when we see something do really well, I think the beauty of e.l.f. is that we do take it. We had one piece of creative that we could see that it was a brow trend that was going on, and we had it just in our mix, and we saw it starting to really take off. And so we were able to quickly brief in new creative, learned that what people were buying on the page was a certain skew of it, and then make a new kind of batch, put it in and test it, and then we're getting real-time learnings from our e-com. So hopefully that answers it.
I think that's such a refreshing way to go, because it's one of those things where just because we can change everything every day, should we? And the answer is no.
Absolutely not.
Sometimes
Seriously.
an idea needs a little room to breathe. Yep. Let it alone.
Leave it alone.
I've worked with a lot of global brands that would take a new TV spot, and if they didn't see what they wanted from store sales within 3 days, it was gone.
Honestly, I have so many thoughts on this. If I can get the CMO of Revlon to sit still, and be like, we're not changing something, you can do it because it compounds. You need at least, especially for TV, you need at least 6 weeks in market. There's a compounding effect, and every time you take something out, you're actually diminishing that impact because they're not remembering the mascara versus the lipstick. They're thinking kind of e.l.f. like what? So you want to be really consistent where you can if you really truly want to see if that's having impact. 3 days, absolutely not. I would no.
All right, so just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
All right, a couple more questions, and then we can open it up, depending on how we're doing on time. So you built Cut the Crap. Mm-hmm. You're at e.l.f., which is in some ways a giant leading makeup brand, but in other ways it's a startup. What aspects of startup culture should all organizations hold on to or bring in if they're not doing it?
So I'm so lucky. e.l.f. is honestly one of the best, is the best place I've worked, honestly. I say that hands down. And the thing that attracted me to e.l.f., and I honestly was nearly I'm done with corporate. I was but I really, once I, got this job and spoke with Corey, I was this is definitely a place that I wish there was more of. And the thing that they do really well is cultivate creativity. And they're a 16-year-old company that behaves like a startup, and it really has paid dividends. And I think what that does is I had my one-on-one with Terang, our CEO, and he gives permission for people to scribble out of the lines without anyone feeling threatened that someone's taking their job or that you can't have a good idea, and the chief creative officer is the only person that can be creative. I think it's very, very special and rare to have a C-suite that goes, we want you to come up with ideas, we want you to cross over, and then let's back the ones we think together. And some things will work, some things will won't. And I think the culture of failing fast is also very prominent. It's okay, just manage expectations. This is a risk. Everything we do is, we have all the perfect variables, we made an educated guess, but we're dealing with humans and it might not work. And that's it. It doesn't. We start again. It's volatile. We're in a very volatile industry. So I think failing fast and then cultivating creativity amongst your teams. Doesn't matter if it's the data person, the creative person, or even our office managers part of brainstorms with us. We really try to do that.
We at our company, Audigent, on the tech side, we have a very similar culture where on a weekly basis we have a topic that's kind of like a sermon where it's just about some inspirational topic. And it starts out with the founder talking about it, and then everyone can share their own, which on Zoom, if you're talking to the whole company, no matter who you are, it gets your adrenaline going. But a lot of ideas have come out of that, and they just get greenlit in the moment. Because not all companies are like this. It helps. It would be great. What would you say to someone who has to go to a culture that doesn't do this as a way to say, okay, here's one step that you can take from e.l.f. that can change your culture so people feel comfortable with ideas? Because it's scary sharing an idea.
It is scary. I guess there's two ways. One, if you just for yourself. Before I even got to e.l.f., I knew what I really wanted to do, and it's not a media thing that I'm doing. I'm helping write out infrastructure for Web3. So you wouldn't put that under my title, but how I went about doing that was, creating a roadmap and a pilot, and I actually educated people internally and brought them across a roadmap, even sitting with our C-suite down with thought leaders and people outside of the industry. So why I say that is for yourself, creating a pilot plan to share and then educate leaders is one way to start your own journey, if it's just, you as the individual. And then you as a leader with a group, just start within your teams. Maybe it's once a month, and you bring another brand in that's not even in your industry, and you hear what they're doing. Because I think, listening to cross category is so important. I did a talk at Lego recently, and I was like, thanks for having me. This is so great. And this is the innovation team on Lego, who are arguably the most innovative brand in the world. And they do that every month. And so we started doing that too. We started with our IMC team. We started with the broader team. So just trying to create these safe spaces where everyone is equal in thinking is something you can do tomorrow with your teams.
Yeah, I think we were talking about something like that at dinner 2 nights ago, where how simple would it be to just bring in someone who could inspire the organization, and who's going to say no to that lunch? Okay, so cool down question. Because you are a gatekeeper of what's happening in marketing.
I am.
Yes, gatekeeper. For everybody here to leave South by Southwest with a couple of things they should be reading and listening to that will make them smarter. What's one blog, one podcast, and if you want to add one, a South by Southwest experience that everybody here should write down or remember?
Okay, so I think my favorite podcast/email is Robin Hood Snacks. if you don't sign up to Robinhood Snacks, it is the best. Like, honestly, every morning it kills it. So sign up to Robinhood Snacks.
What is it about?
So Robinhood is the finance app, like investing app. But they bought Snacks, which is a group out of San Francisco that just do a daily digest of new technology and innovation. And they do such a great job of summing up that trend of the week or what's in the news. So I think it's just like a really digestible, easy thing to follow. From South by Southwest standpoint and us as marketers, I think we think of the worlds we want to create, but we get so tactical into campaigns and what are we going to do next for the next campaign, the next media plan, or the next PR plan. But go look at Doodles, go look at Fluff, because I think they create a world and learning what is your world. We're actually having these discussions internally.
What's Fluff? Does everybody here know? Wait, hold on a second. Does everybody here know what Fluff is? Hands up. There, it's a food.
It's another NFT project that have an activation here. And I think, all of us are probably all a bit stale.
I'm sorry, sir, you're wrong. That's the wrong answer.
But anyway, you should go check them out because I think we can redefine experience for our brands and for our consumers. What is it to come into an e.l.f. world? Why do you want to be part of e.l.f. outside of buying a $4 product? And I think there's a lot of cues you can take from those experiences to kind of revamp how you imagine memorable things and creating memorability. And then what was my other thing?
Blog.
Robinhood Snacks kind of is pod and blog. I like NFT now. If you want to get into NFT space, that's actually on Twitter, and they are the first media company to kind of really own, the media publishing side of things for NFTs. I know, other media entities are trying to do that, but they're from the bottom up. They're all NFT, all crypto folk creatives. So I think that's one of my favorite places to stay up to date, and I trust them as well, actually, on their things that they're reporting on. Amazing,
and obviously, everyone has to sign up for Lauren's.
Sign up for mine.
Yeah, everyone should sign up for Lauren's. Thank you so much. I don't know how we're doing on time. If we can do questions.
Guys, how do we do? Go, come on.
We can take one question. Cheers. Fun. All right.
Are we the funnest talk you've been to?
Was this brilliant or bullshit? Brilliant. I agree. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay,